anti-cola, what? Food. We all know the stories of Satchel Paige and how difficult it was for the family of 12 to provide. We know the stories of him with the rocks and hunting sparrow and hunting squirrels, etc., and helping to make the meal. You wonder, in the Paige household, and later he's a parent, the emphasis on food and meals and cooking. We also know he cooked later on as a ball player. Playing the dozens. I wonder how did that translate into later when he became a parent. Paige loved to play the dozens as a kid, except when those folks who were telling your young friends of his, saying, "Hey, you look like a scarecrow. We ought to give you some money so you can get you some new clothes." He fired back. "We ought to give you some money so you can buy a new face." You know, the idea of playing the dozens. He was a master of it. I'm wondering how that translated into the family. Discipline. I wonder who was the disciplinarian in the Paige family. Because Satchel Paige was seriously disciplined as a child. And as we say in the vernacular of the black household, he was hard-headed. There was no question about it. And thus, he received many, shall we say, go out to the woodshed. Mother Lula would often tell him, "Go and fetch me a switch." Black folks from the South and others, you know that term. "Go and fetch me a switch. You're fixing to get a whooping for what you just did." In fact, he heard, "Go and fetch me a switch" so often that could have been his other nickname. Satchel Paige, "Go and fetch me a switch." Wonder how that translated into him later becoming a parent. Does he absolutely stay away from any kind of discipline? Or is he a tough person where you toe the line? These are the kinds of things that only this group can answer. I know there would be other questions the rest of you might want to ask, but I'm the moderator, so I get to ask to start off with that formula. Because with this group, we really don't need to cover box scores and pitching events, and so you know all of that. But how do we get the picture of the whole Satchel Paige, the total Satchel Paige, the whole individual? And we can get that only from the family. Just wanted to make sure I covered all the points I wanted to hit upon. We can debate who's the greatest pitcher. No question about that. As far as I'm concerned, that has been answered. You heard Larry say it again, that Satchel Paige was the greatest pitcher. You can debate. Many will indeed on the question of who's the greatest of anything. I remember my father, I would say, I think Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer of all time. He said, "You just didn't see Joe Louis." So those kinds of issues. Who's the fastest pitcher of all time? Dizzy Dean said, who was known for his fastball, he said, "My fastball looks like a change of pace pitch next to that bullet that Satchel throws in there." To talk about separating fact from fiction, what the family can help us to do. True story. When Satchel Paige was coming up finally to the majors, the Cleveland Indians, as we all know, in 48, one of the sessions, one of the trainers brought out a rudimentary timing gun. And, the pitchers were over there and warming up and doing this and that. And said, "Let's try it out. Let's call a couple of our best pitchers in," which they did, to throw a couple in the timer. And he said, "Oh, pitcher's 87 miles an hour." So let's call Satch over here. "Satch, come on over. Throw one in there." So he came, walking over, taking his time as usual. Fired one in there, and then he asked, "Are you through with me?" He said, "Yeah." So he went on back, and they started gathering around the timing gun, looking at it, calling others in, right, looking at the timing gun. And finally, the trainer yells out to Satch. He said, "Satch, that pitch was 100 miles an hour." And Satch said, "Well, if I knew you were timing me, I would have thrown hard." Not fiction. That's actually fact. The family can help us separate facts from fiction and give us insight into the whole Satchel Paige. What I've asked them to do to start off with is just to introduce themselves to you and to share one experience with you that they think, or that individual believes, helps you to understand the full picture of the Satchel Paige or the Paige household. And we don't have to go in any particular order, yet I have the most senior Paige family member sitting here. You notice how I avoided age, and there are women here. I'm not crazy. So if they would introduce themselves and give that one story, and then after we've heard from all of them, I will have all the questions, and I will go to the questions and so that they can respond to those questions. So please, Pamela.
I'm Pamela. I'm the firstborn, and we lived in a kinder, gentler time. Children growing up in the 50s and 60s, elementary school, our neighborhood was our community. It was truly a village, and everyone raised us. And my dad married a woman who was much younger, and so therefore her sisters came as a support group. So our household was full of aunts that supported my mom, because at one point it appeared she was going to have a baby every year, and it was troubling to me. Being the oldest, I was like the gopher. I had to get the bottles and the diapers and things like that. And Carolyn, my sister next to me, was tiny and small, and so she didn't have to do much work. And so she sat and was the piano person, but she played the piano, and that was her escape. And I was big and thick and worked and took over the responsibilities. Our life was good, and I have to say that, not because it was our life. Life was just good, and the community was all-encompassing. We lived in a neighborhood where everybody told everything we did, you couldn't get away with anything. And my dad was like the demigod, the Superman. When he was home, everybody would come by and wave to us, and we sat on the front porch and drink lemonade and had conversations. He was always teaching us life lessons. And the life lessons were things that have stuck with most of us throughout our life, and we laugh when we refer to them now as parents and grandparents. Funny story. My mom had a beautiful singing voice, and we thought she was just lovely. And Daddy loved to fish. That was one of his primary relaxing things he enjoyed doing. He loved fishing and hunting, but fishing was the most. And I'm going to take us to 1957, 58 in Florida. And my father had some of the most beautiful fishing equipment that was made. I mean, every company would send him something once they found out he enjoyed fishing. So he had, let's say, 12 fishing poles in the water. He's determined he is going to catch Moby Dick. And we are little stair-step children. Now I'm standing in water up to my neck. It's barely up to Carolyn. Rita, bless her heart, wasn't born. And my little wild brother down there on the end, we don't know where he was. Didn't keep an eye on him. But my mom had the most wonderful personality, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't get that from her. She had a cane pole, and I hope everybody knows what a cane pole is. My dad had rod and reels with mounts on them this big. He had 100-pound test line, 50-pound test line. He had lures. He had every bait made by man. My mom had a cane pole and a worm. And she would throw it in the water, and she'd be singing church songs, and she'd pull it out. and we see him bristle up. And to give you some idea, he was at Ichabod Crane profile. He would go down and check his lines, and he'd be running with the buckets. And explicative would be coming from his mouth, and she was steadily pulling out sunfish, redfish, bluefish, greenfish. He's running back, there's something wrong here. And we were little children, and all we wanted to do was get dry and go home. He stayed out there. It would be so late, he would have to carry us. She carried the smallest, and Daddy would carry Carolyn and me most of the time. And he'd have to carry us to the car. He would reel in all his reels, and nothing would be on there. Bait was gone. He was steaming, and the rest of the evening was moved. I'm telling you, she's still singing her church song. Scale the fish, and she tell him, I have you some bread. And I mean, that got his goat so good. As we got older, we couldn't stop laughing because we knew he was upset.